We are going to be talking about President Donald Trump. He is officially our president. He got inaugurated. And baby, one thing I will give him, the only thing I will give him credit for is everything that he said he was going to do, he has already started working on it. I don't want to hear no one being surprised or I didn't know or I thought he was lying or this or that. Baby, he's doing everything that he said he was going to do. We are
And
going
then
to
some.
exactly.
And then some.
We
Okay.
are going to focus on how these things are impacting people. We are even going to have an example of like even here in Jersey, we are being, hit. So Donald Trump wasted no time. As soon as he got inaugurated, baby, he started signing dozens of executive orders, left, right, middle, center. If you haven't read about them, make sure you go and read. But we're going to focus on just a few because we could be here for the whole day talking about them.
No, honestly. And I just want to kind of touch on, I made sure, I kind of forgot about the inauguration. I'm not going to lie to you. But like, I made it a point to not watch it, but obviously social media, they're going to snip certain things. And like, that's basically how I found out half the stuff that did happen at the inauguration. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Elon Musk doing his Roman salute, like I was sitting there, I'm like, first of all,
I cannot.
The mofo not even Roman. Like, what are you?
Well, people are saying that it was was it like Nazi or like something else that was not that?
People trying to make excuses, but that's literally what it was giving. No, for real though. Like, and like to the people who are like, oh, like, what's the problem with him doing that? Like, let's say we're convinced and we're like, okay, that's the Roman salute, right? Like,
what is the Roman salute and why would he even do that? Like, comment down below if you. I have like we're in America and he not even Roman. Like you from South Africa, boo.
And like my thing is like the Roman Empire hasn't even been something of importance since Caesar was a salad. Like I don't understand what are you talking about, right? And the thing that's like really confusing to me, right, is the people who are like, oh, it's fine, he's doing it. Okay, let's say what we were brainwashed to believe that was the case, right? If I was to walk up to everybody and was like, konnichiwa, 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 and I finally hit an Asian person and I said konnichiwa, why wouldn't they deck me in my face? Why would I be saying that? I have no connection to Asian culture.
But you can say konnichiwa, I think.
Girl, all right. But you walk up to every person and you walk up to an Asian person, they're going to look at you like you're trying to be funny.
Right. I don't know. It's too much. So yeah, like we mentioned last episode, all the tech billionaires were there. I don't think we mentioned the fact that the Apple CEO was also there, honey. So unlike his last term, he has all the money people, all the powerful people on his side. But like I mentioned, Trump has already started rolling back rights. Okay, feel however you may feel. That's how I am going to refer it. He's rolling back on rights. So he ordered the closure of all DEI programs in all federal agencies. He also revoked the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965. Yes, he had in his head a legislation, I don't know the perfect term for it, that was signed in 1965. These are the same people that are saying, oh, we don't want to talk about January 6th anymore. We need to look forward. But Buki, you was clocking a T that was passed decades ago, 1965. But we're going to talk about that. So this Equal Employment Opportunity Act the order prohibited discrimination in hiring and employment-based rate. No, let me... Girl, he got me so, you know what I mean? Like, it prohibited discrimination in hiring and employment based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. I feel like we as humans, like, what is wrong with that? Like, I think that is the bare minimum. You should not be discriminating anyone based on their race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Why would you want to roll that back? We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned. Like I mentioned, he ordered the closure of all DEI programs in all federal agencies. If you don't know what DEI means, it's ya se me olvidó. What's DEI?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, I knew that, but when I'm mad, I like get on blanks, which is why I'm reading off of things because I will forget. He also is trying to limit birthright citizenship. Yes, everybody knows that if you are born in America, you are an American, regardless of the legal status of your parents. That's in the Constitution. But apparently, he's trying to roll that back, and people are already saying, like, judges, they're like, are you bonkers or are you insane? We're not rolling that back. He's also conducting, or he has ordered the conduction of ICE raids, which we will talk about, because even here in Jersey, it's happening, honey. And if it hasn't happened yet in your city, it will. Okay. And last but not least, of like the topics that we're going to talk about, he introduced some sort of like LGBTQ legislation, which he called, or executive order. It's called Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. The order declares that the U.S. government will recognize that, quote, these sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and intra-controversial. That's too much. The moral of the story is, he said there can only be male and female, and you can't identify as anything other than that. And
I just want to mention real quick, because obviously, out of Shayla and I, my timeline full with the jokes right now, right? So, what's it called? Caitlyn Jenner was like, oh, like, congratulations, Donald Trump. Da-da-da-da. Somebody commented, oh, he just signed an executive order. You not Caitlyn no more.
You a man.
Yo, they was like, you not Caitlyn no more. You Bruce. Like, I was
like how we're gonna discuss this at length, but I just don't understand how someone can support someone that doesn't even believe in them. Like, they don't care about any of your rights. It's actually crazy. But the last thing we're going to talk about is him freeing January 6th rioters, people that have been charged and were serving time in prison. He let them out. Where do you want to start, Rebecca? Because there's so much.
Oh boy, let us start. So let us talk about these raids 1st, I think, because like we actually have Jersey connection. I mean, obviously everything's going to impact everybody at some point or somehow,
right?
But like the one that we're actively seeing right now is these ICE raids. So like Shayla mentioned, he's approved that people can go into churches, they can go into schools, they can go into like different like facilities, and like basically just raid for like people who are here or they're considering illegal. Because remember, some people are here with documentation that's currently going through the process. So technically it's like they're in that limbo of like here temporarily type of vibe. So we recently saw one of these ICE raids happening in Newark. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because the Newark mayor actually released a statement about the ICE raids that were currently happening. So I have it right here for you. I could play it real quick. So this is from the Newark mayor. His name is Ross Baraka, and it basically says, today, U.S. immigration, and as in today, he meant this was yesterday, which was Thursday, January 23rd, where he basically said, today, U.S. immigration and customs enforcement agents raided local establishments in the city of Newark, detaining undocumented residents as well as citizens without producing a warrant. One of these detainees is a U.S. military veteran who suffered the indignity of having the legitimacy of his military documentation questioned. This egregious act is a plain violation of the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, who guarantees the right of people be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects, and against unreasonable searches and seizures. Right? So it's like when I see things like this, right? And like when we found this out, like I was at work and like when this executive order was signed, I was just like, I just imagine you sitting there praising to the Lord, like, or whatever religion you believe in. You could be in a mosque, a temple, wherever you at. Mind your business, praying to whoever you pray to, and boom, like this is how I'm thinking about it. Boom, doors bust open, agents just walking through, asking for like documentations, this, that, and the third. And I'm like read the room. there's time and place for things like this. Like, if you feel like there is somebody who is here illegally, like, you can bring them in for questioning, I guess. But it's just like, why strip, like, snatch them out of church, snatch them out of the store, snatch, like, it's giving, like, are they a criminal?
I have a lot to say, but I'll let you say your piece first.
Oh, girl, go ahead.
Okay, so another thing that I did not mention, right? Not only did he approve these ICE raids, but he also where is it? I have it here. I have so much thing written down. So he ended the CBP One App, right? So the app was set up under the Biden administration as a way to curb people crossing the southwest border illegally to request asylum, like in another country. Like, let's say you were in Mexico, you could kind of start your process from there through this app. So he ended that app. So anyone that was thinking, like, in their head, like, okay, I finally got like a meeting or whatever for me to get temporary protective status legally, he ended that. So it's like, do you want them to be here illegally or legally? Because you literally cut off all ends. I have a lot to say, but before I say my piece, I want to share this video that talks about how important immigrants are to, you know, the US economy or agriculture. And this is not a video to say like, oh, well, the only job immigrants could have is agriculture. But this is just to showcase how, yes, I'm not going to say that there are not criminals that, you know, do pass the border, but we have criminals here in America that are here. So
First
it's
of
like,
all, half these criminals, y'all raided the whole Capitol on January 6th. So let's be for real. Okay.
Right. So I'm going to play this video from the Wall Street Journal that kind of explains how impactful immigrants are to our agriculture.
At how Trump's immigration plans could upend agriculture in the U.S. About 2/3 of the nation's crop farm workers are immigrants, and roughly 42% of them are not legally authorized to work in the U.S., according to the Department of Agriculture.
Workers don't even ask if the food is going to go into a Republican or Democratic home. They just work to feed us.
Teresa Romero is the president of the labor union United Farm Workers. She says migrants often perform some of the most challenging and unappealing jobs in agriculture.
This is a work that is demanding, that is dangerous, that is very physical. There's long hours. The workers are dying.
Too often the phrase, oh, these are jobs Americans won't do, is thrown around. Frankly, it's rather untrue and insulting.
Laura Reese leads the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank and lobbying group that oversees the controversial Project 2025.
If the employers are hiring illegal aliens, that's in violation of the law, and those aliens should be removed.
But removing migrants, like Trump has proposed, could significantly disrupt the food supply chain. Consider the meatpacking industry. As of 2023, immigrants made up more than 40% of all of its labor. And half of those workers were not legally authorized to work in the U.S.
Our labor situation is already in a tough spot in agriculture.
Russell Baining is the president of the Texas Farm Bureau, which advocates for farmers and ranchers across the state.
If those type of products aren't produced in this country and the American consumer wants them, then they're going to have to come from somewhere else.
We are going to be forced to import our foods. And what is Trump saying about imports? Tariffs.
And what does tariffs mean? Everything is going to be more expensive. So this whole idea that you voted for him because you wanted cheaper eggs and cheaper grocery prices, Wabuki, if everything goes as is expected, your behind is going to be paying probably triple the amount that you was crying so bad under the Biden administration. And here's what I want to talk about this whole, because people hate when you bring up race. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, why do you want to make everything about race? Why do you want to make everything about race?
Your ancestors made it about race.
Here's an example of why it is about race. Donald Trump claims that the reason why he's so hard pressed on, you know, immigration and ICE and all of this is because they're bringing criminals, right? Criminals are passing through the border. So I want you to know that Trump and his administration on Monday pardoned more than 1,000 people who stormed the United States Capitol and ordered the Justice Department to drop hundreds of pending cases. So these January 6th rioters, felony charges dropped, right? Like they committed crimes, and Trump said, free those people that committed crimes. Because if it is a crime in, Donald Trump's name, that's a good crime in his eyes. He freed these people. And the gag of it all, he freed one of them, right? And then the next day, his behind was back in jail due to some other gun charges from 2 years ago that he had pending in Florida. So you need to focus, and you, as in like Donald Trump, he keeps claiming this whole notion of like the reason why I'm so strict on immigration is because of criminals. And it's like, well, you're letting loose thousands of criminals. You drop charges of thousands of criminals. You yourself are a felon. And it's like, keep the same energy. This person, Pete Hegseth, who he has like, or is trying to get to become the Secretary of Defense, he has been alleged to be like, abusive to his ex-wife, but you want him as leading the defense? Like, and this is why we go back to the whole notion that it's not about the criminals. It's really about racism.
And so every point you made is absolutely on the point, to the T, okay? My whole thing is, right, people love to say, oh, y'all love to make it about race. Y'all love to make it about race. From the moment America has been established, race has played a point in every single thing, right? The Native Americans were here on their land. Christopher Columbus comes from wherever he came from, literally strips the land. They strip the people of their land, strip them of their food, rape the females, everything bad that they bring their own diseases and everything over. Now people are being introduced to new stuff, right? Right. Let's say you want to forget that. Cool. Then slavery. How can we forget about slavery? Y'all snatch people from their own countries, bring them here because y'all are too good to work. Y'all are too good to do anything. Other people should do it because their skin color is so dark. They're this, they're that. It's like, why should they be considered as human beings? Right? It's just like from the beginning of time, race has always been a point. So you can't look at people and tell them race isn't a point. And that the moment that we start to ignore race, that's when we can actually move forward as a society.